The camera flash illuminated Marcus Greene's expression of pure shock, as Penelope Zimmerman lowered her professional camera and locked eyes with him. This wasn't supposed to happen, not at her routine family photo shoot that his sister had insisted on. But there was something about the way the photographer moved with such quiet confidence through his expansive living room that made the self-made shipping magnate momentarily forget about the emails waiting for his response. "Mr. Zimmerman, if you could please look at your niece instead of at me, we might actually get a usable shot," Mia Gordon said with a hint of amusement in her voice. Her honey blonde hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and she wore simple black pants and a crisp white button-down that somehow made her look both professional and approachable. Marcus cleared his throat, embarrassed at being caught staring. "Right, sorry, and please call me Marcus. Mr. Zimmerman makes me feel like my father." His sister Olivia bounced her 6-month-old daughter Lily on her knee. "Maybe if you stopped working for 5 minutes, you'd actually enjoy this photo shoot that cost me a fortune to book," she teased. "Mia is the most sought-after family photographer in the city. I was on her waiting list for 3 months. Mia's cheeks flushed slightly at the praise as she adjusted her camera settings. "Your sister exaggerates. Now, Marcus, would you mind sitting next to Olivia? I want to capture you with your niece." Marcus obliged, moving to the plush white sofa and settling in next to his sister. As he took baby Lily into his arms, he couldn't help but notice how Mia's expression softened when she looked through her viewfinder at him holding the infant. "Perfect," she murmured, snapping several shots in quick succession. "You're a natural with her." "Don't let him fool you," Olivia interjected. "This is probably the 3rd time he's held Lily since she was born. My brother is married to his company." Marcus shot his sister a warning look as Mia continued photographing. "Shipping logistics wait for no man, even uncles," he said lightly, but something in Mia's subtle frown made him regret the defensive response. For the next hour, Mia directed the family through various poses around Marcus's penthouse apartment with its sweeping views of the city. She had a gift for making them all relax, even managing to coax genuine laughter from Marcus when she made silly faces at Lily behind the camera. "That's a wrap," she finally announced, lowering her camera. "I think we got some beautiful shots of all of you." As Olivia gathered Lily's things, Marcus found himself lingering near Mia while she packed up her equipment. "How long have you been a photographer?" he asked, realizing he knew nothing about her beyond what his sister had mentioned. "Professionally, about 7 years," she replied, carefully placing her camera in its padded case. "I was a kindergarten teacher before that, but photography was always my passion." "What made you switch?" Mia paused, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. "Life's too short to only dream about what you want to do," she glanced up at him. "I decided to be brave enough to try." Something about her words struck Marcus deeply. At 35, he had built Zimmerman's ship into a global enterprise worth billions, but when was the last time he'd been brave in his personal life? "I'd love to see some of your other work," he heard himself saying. Mia raised an eyebrow. "You can check out my website or—" She hesitated. "I have an exhibition opening this Friday at the Carlton Gallery. Small affair, but my first solo show." "I'll be there," Marcus said before he could overthink it. Her surprise was evident, but she quickly masked it with a professional smile. "The exhibition begins at 7. Don't feel obligated, though I know you must be busy." Olivia returned with Lily bundled up in her carrier. "Mia, thank you so much. When will we see the photos?" "I'll have a preview gallery ready for you to look at within 2 weeks," Mia replied, smoothly transitioning back to business mode. After Mia left, Olivia fixed her brother with a knowing stare. "You like her?" Marcus rolled his eyes. "I was being polite." "Sure, that's why you were staring at her like she was a shipping contract worth billions," Olivia retorted. "You know, it wouldn't kill you to date someone normal for once, instead of those society women who care more about your bank account than you." Marcus pinched the bridge of his nose. "Don't you have a husband to go home to?" "Don't change the subject," Olivia said, grinning. "Just promise me you'll consider it." Mia's talented, genuine, and single, according to her assistant. You're impossible, Marcus muttered, but he couldn't stop thinking about Mia's words about bravery or the way her eyes had lit up when she talked about her photography. Friday came faster than Marcus anticipated. He found himself standing outside the Carlton Gallery at precisely 7 o'clock, dressed in a navy suit that his personal shopper had assured him was casual enough for an art opening but still appropriate for your status. Whatever that meant. The gallery was modestly sized but elegantly appointed. As Marcus entered, he immediately spotted Mia across the room, wearing a simple emerald green dress that made her eyes appear even more vibrant. She was speaking animatedly to an older couple, her hands gesturing as she explained something about the large black and white photograph they were examining. Marcus accepted a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and took his time walking around the perimeter of the gallery. Mia's photography was stunning, intimate portraits of families, but not the stiff, posed kind he was used to seeing. These were raw, joyful, sometimes messy moments of real connection. A father teaching his daughter to ride a bike, a mother cradling a newborn while her toddler peered curiously at the baby, elderly grandparents dancing in a sunlit kitchen. He was so absorbed in the images that he didn't notice Mia approach until she was beside him. "You came," she said, her voice carrying a hint of disbelief. Marcus turned to her with a genuine smile. "I said I would. These are extraordinary, Mia." She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture he was beginning to recognize as a sign of her being slightly flustered. "Thank you. They're just real moments with real families." "That's what makes them special," he replied. "You capture connection in a way that feels authentic." Mia studied him for a moment, her head tilted slightly. "Can I ask you something honestly, Marcus?" "Of course." "Why are you really here? Most clients don't show up at their photographers' exhibitions." The directness of her question caught him off guard. "I wanted to see your work," he answered truthfully, then added, "and maybe I wanted to see you again outside of a professional context." A small smile played at the corners of her lips. "That's a very straightforward answer." "I've built a business on being direct," he said with a shrug. Mia's gaze shifted to something over his shoulder. "I should probably circulate. There are some gallery owners here I should speak with." "Go ahead. I'll keep admiring your work." She hesitated, then said, "There's a small reception after the exhibition closes at 9. Just a few friends going for drinks at the bar next door. You're welcome to join us if you'd like." Before Marcus could respond, she was called away by the gallery owner, leaving him with the invitation hanging in the air between them. At 9:15, Marcus found himself sitting at a high-top table in a cozy bar with Mia and 6 of her friends, feeling oddly out of place yet strangely comfortable. No one had made a fuss about his wealth or status, in fact. Most of them seemed to have no idea who he was beyond one of Mia's clients. "So you take pictures of rich people's families?" asked Devon, a graphic designer who had helped Mia with her exhibition catalog. Mia rolled her eyes. "I take pictures of all kinds of families. Some just happen to be able to afford my rates." "And thank goodness they can," said her friend Rachel, raising her glass. To Mia finally being able to quit that waitressing job and do photography full-time. As everyone clinked glasses, Marcus found himself watching Mia's face, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the genuine affection she had for her friends. She caught him looking and held his gaze for a moment before turning back to the conversation. Later, as the group began to disperse, Marcus offered to walk Mia to her car. "Actually, I took the subway," she admitted as they stepped outside into the cool night air. "My apartment's not far from here. Let me drive you home," he offered immediately, then added, "No expectations, just a ride." Mia considered him for a moment. "All right, thank you." In his sleek black Audi, with the city lights reflecting off the windshield, Mia gave him directions to her neighborhood in Brooklyn. The contrast between his penthouse and her destination wasn't lost on Marcus, but what struck him more was how comfortable the silence between them felt. "Your friends seem great," he finally said. "They are." Most of them I've known since college, Mia replied. They've supported my photography dream from the beginning, Marcus nodded. It's important to have people who believe in you. Do you have people like that, I mean? The question was innocent, but it made Marcus realize how few people in his life knew him beyond his success. My sister, he answered after a moment, and a couple of friends from business school, but it's different when you're in my position. People tend to want things from you. Mia turned to look at him. That sounds lonely. No one had ever put it quite so bluntly before, and Marcus found himself unable to muster his usual deflection. Sometimes it is, he admitted. When they arrived at her building, an older brownstone that had likely been divided into apartments, Marcus walked her to the door. Thank you for coming tonight, Mia said, keys in hand. It meant a lot. I enjoyed it, he replied honestly. Your work is remarkable. A moment passed between them, charged with possibility. I'd like to see you again, Marcus said. Not as a client, Mia's expression was guarded. Marcus, I don't typically date clients, and honestly, our worlds are very different. Give me one chance to prove that doesn't matter, he pressed gently. One dinner. If it's terrible, you never have to see me outside of professional obligations again. A small smile tugged at her lips. You're used to getting what you want, aren't you? Not always, he said. But I'm willing to work for the things that matter. Mia studied him for a long moment before sighing. One dinner, but somewhere normal, please. No private chefs or restaurants that require a secret password to enter. Marcus laughed. Deal. How about Tuesday? I'll pick you up at 7. As he drove away, Marcus realized he was looking forward to Tuesday more than any business meeting or social event in recent memory. There was something about Mia Gordon that made him want to be more than just the successful businessman everyone else saw. True to his word, Marcus took Mia to a family-owned Italian restaurant in her neighborhood on Tuesday evening. The owner greeted Mia by name and showed them to a quiet corner table lit by candles in old wine bottles. You come here often? Marcus asked as they settled in. At least once a week, Mia admitted. They make the best carbonara in Brooklyn, and Antonio's wife, Eva, treats me like a daughter. As they shared a bottle of wine and plates of handmade pasta, Marcus found himself talking about things he rarely discussed. His parents' early struggles after immigrating from Germany, how he'd started his shipping business with a single truck, and a lot of determination. The pressure he felt to keep expanding the company his father had watched him build before passing away 3 years ago. Is that why you work so much? Mia asked, her expression thoughtful. To honor your father, Marcus considered the question. Partly, but it's what I know. I'm good at business. The personal stuff doesn't come as naturally. Like holding your niece, Mia teased gently. He laughed. Exactly like that. Olivia's right, I don't make enough time for family. Yet you built your entire empire to provide for them, Mia observed. That seems like a contradiction. Her insight was surprisingly perceptive, and Marcus found himself wanting to be honest with her in a way he rarely was with anyone. Maybe I've been using work as an excuse to avoid the messier parts of life. Like relationships, especially those, he admitted. The women I usually meet are more interested in what I can provide than who I am. Mia tilted her head. And what makes you think I'm different? It was a bold question, and Marcus appreciated her directness. Because you already turned me down once citing our different worlds. Most women in your position would have jumped at the chance. A smile played at her lips. Fair point. As the evening progressed, Marcus learned about Mia's childhood in a small town upstate, her parents who still ran the local hardware store, how she'd saved for years to buy her first professional camera, and the satisfaction she felt capturing moments of genuine connection between family members. That's what I loved about the photos of you with Lily, Mia said as they shared a tiramisu. There was this moment when she grabbed your finger and your whole face changed, like you suddenly remembered what really matters. Marcus felt something shift inside him at her words. I'd like to see that photo. It'll be in the gallery I send your sister, Mia promised. When he drove her home that night, The goodbye at her door lingered longer, ending with a gentle kiss that left Marcus wanting more but respecting the pace Mia seemed to prefer. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a rhythm of dinner dates, weekend walks through the city's parks, and long conversations that made Marcus increasingly certain that Mia was unlike anyone he'd ever met. She challenged him, made him laugh, and never seemed impressed by the trappings of his wealth. When Olivia invited them both to Lily's first birthday party, Marcus was surprised by how naturally Mia fit in with his family, capturing candid photos as a gift while also genuinely enjoying herself. "You look happy," Olivia commented when she found him watching Mia help Lily blow out her birthday candle. "It's a good look on you, brother." "She's incredible," Marcus admitted, "but I'm worried about screwing it up. My track record isn't exactly stellar." Olivia patted his arm. "That's because you never cared enough before to worry about screwing up. The fact that you're concerned is a good sign." Later that night, as they walked hand in hand through Central Park, Marcus found himself thinking about his sister's words. "My company is opening a new shipping hub in Singapore," he said suddenly. "I'm supposed to go oversee the launch next month. It's a 3-week trip." Mia nodded slowly. "That sounds like an important project." "It is," he agreed, then took a deep breath. "I want you to come with me." She stopped walking, her expression surprised. "Marcus, I can't just drop everything for 3 weeks. I have clients, commitments. I know it's a lot to ask," he interrupted. "But I've been thinking about what you said that first day we met, about being brave enough to try for what you want." He turned to face her fully. "I want us to work, Mia, and I'm trying to find a balance between my work and my personal life for the first time in, maybe ever." Mia's expression softened. "That means a lot to me, but this is still new and 3 weeks abroad is a big step." "What if it was just for the last week?" he suggested. "I could handle the business side first, then we could have some time together. Singapore is beautiful and you could bring your camera. Different families, different cultures, it might inspire your work." He could see her considering it, weighing her responsibilities against the opportunity. "Let me think about it," she finally said. "I need to check my schedule and see if I can rearrange some shoots." Marcus nodded, trying not to show his disappointment. "Of course, no pressure." The following week, Marcus was buried in preparations for the Singapore trip when his assistant announced Mia was in the reception area of his office. Surprised, he went out to meet her. "This is unexpected," he said, genuinely pleased to see her in the sleek, modern lobby of Zimmerman ship headquarters. Mia looked slightly out of place with her camera bag slung over her shoulder, but her smile was confident. "I thought I should see where the magic happens." "Your assistant said you might have time for lunch, for you." "Absolutely." He guided her toward the elevator. "Let me just grab my jacket." In his corner office with its panoramic view of the city, Mia wandered around looking at the few personal touches. A photo of Marcus with his parents at his college graduation, a model of the first ship he'd purchased for his fleet, an award for humanitarian logistics during a recent natural disaster. "This isn't what I expected," she admitted. "What did you expect? Something colder, more intimidating?" She turned to him with a small smile. "Like how you seemed when we first met." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "I intimidated you a little," she confessed. "You have this intensity when you're focused on something. I see it when you talk about your business." He moved closer to her. "And now I see that same intensity when you look at me," she said quietly. "It's both thrilling and terrifying." Marcus reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, mimicking her nervous gesture. "Does that mean you've thought about Singapore?" Mia nodded. "I've rearranged my schedule. I can come for the final 10 days. The joy that surged through him was immediate and powerful. Without thinking, Marcus pulled her into a kiss that was more passionate than any they'd shared before. When they broke apart, both slightly breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. "Thank you for taking a chance on me," he murmured. "I'm taking a chance on us," she corrected gently. The first 2 weeks in Singapore were a blur of meetings, facility tours, and contract signings for Marcus. He found himself constantly checking the time, calculating the days until Mia would arrive. Despite his focus on work, he caught himself planning what he wanted to show her, which restaurants they should try, the views she might want to photograph. When she finally arrived, exhausted but smiling at the airport, Marcus felt a sense of completeness he hadn't realized was missing. "Welcome to Singapore," he said, pulling her into an embrace that felt like coming home. The next 10 days were transformative. During the day, while Marcus wrapped up his business obligations, Mia explored the city with her camera, capturing its unique blend of ultra-modern architecture and traditional Asian influences. In the evenings, they discovered the city together, sampling street food at hawker centers, wandering through the gardens by the bay, watching the sunset from the Marina Bay Sands observation deck. On their final night, over dinner at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the glittering cityscape, Marcus realized with sudden clarity that he was in love with Mia Gordon. The thought should have terrified him. Marcus Zimmerman, who calculated risk in every business decision, who had kept emotional entanglements at arm's length for years, but instead, it filled him with certainty. "What are you thinking?" Mia asked, noticing his expression. "You've got that look again." "What look is that?" "Like you're making a major business decision," she teased. Marcus smiled, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Nothing about business. I was thinking about us, actually." "Oh," her expression was curious but cautious. "These past months with you have changed me," he said simply. "You've shown me that there's more to life than quarterly reports and shipping contracts." Mia squeezed his hand. "You've changed me too. I've always played it safe with my heart. Too safe, probably. And now I'm sitting in Singapore with a man who flew me halfway around the world because he couldn't bear the thought of 3 weeks apart," she said with a soft laugh. "Definitely not playing it safe anymore." Marcus took a deep breath. "I love you, Mia. I think I started falling for you the moment you told me to look at my niece instead of staring at you." Her eyes widened, but the smile that spread across her face was radiant. "I love you too. Even though you're stubborn and work too much and sometimes forget that not everyone has a private jet at their disposal." He laughed, relief and joy washing through him. "I'm working on those things." "I know you are," she said softly. "That's part of why I love you." The flight back to New York was spent making plans not just for their next date or weekend together, but for navigating the practical aspects of their relationship. Marcus's schedule was demanding but flexible in ways Mia's wasn't. She had clients who booked months in advance, a studio lease in Brooklyn, and a life built around her photography business. "I don't want you to give up anything for me," Marcus insisted as they discussed how to make things work. "Your career is important. So is yours," Mia pointed out. "We'll find a balance." Over the following months, that balance became clearer. Marcus rearranged his schedule to be home more often, delegating international travel when possible, and making sure to attend family gatherings that he would have previously skipped for work. Mia began taking on more high-profile clients, her reputation growing partly due to her connection with Marcus, but primarily because of her undeniable talent. When Mia's lease came up for renewal 6 months after they'd returned from Singapore, Marcus suggested she move in with him. "My penthouse is closer to your studio," he reasoned as they sat on her tiny balcony one evening, "and most of your clothes are already there anyway." Mia considered him thoughtfully. "Are you sure we're ready for that?" "I've never been more sure of anything," he said honestly. "But if you need more time, no," she interrupted with a smile. "I don't need more time. I just wanted to make sure you weren't asking because it seemed like the logical next step." Marcus took her hand. "I'm asking because I want to wake up next to you every morning. Because my home feels empty when you're not in it. Because I love you and I want to build a life with you." 2 weeks later, Mia's books and camera equipment were integrated into Marcus's penthouse, making the sleek, somewhat impersonal space feel warm and lived in for the first time. Her photographs appeared on walls that had previously been adorned with expensive but emotionally meaningless art. Her colorful throw pillows and handmade quilts softened the minimalist furniture. Her presence transformed the space in the same way she had transformed his life. On their one-year anniversary, Marcus planned a private dinner on the rooftop garden of his building. As they dined under strings of fairy lights with the city spread out below them, he found himself thinking about the journey they'd taken together. "Do you remember telling me that life's too short to only dream about what you want to do?" he asked as they finished dessert. Mia nodded. "During that first photo shoot, you asked why I left teaching." "That advice changed my life," Marcus said, reaching into his pocket. "Because what I want more than anything is a life with you." As he got down on one knee, Mia's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with surprise. "Mia Gordon, you walked into my home to take pictures of my family and somehow became the most important part of it," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the thundering of his heart. "You've taught me what really matters. You've shown me how to balance ambition with joy. You've made me brave enough to love completely." He opened the small velvet box to reveal a vintage-inspired emerald and diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears spilled down Mia's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will marry you." As he slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms, Marcus thought about the unexpected journey that had led them here. From a reluctant family photo shoot to a proposal under the stars, their story had unfolded in ways neither of them could have predicted. 18 months later, they were married in a ceremony that perfectly reflected their blended lives, elegant but unpretentious, held in the botanical gardens with family and close friends in attendance. Olivia served as Mia's maid of honor, while Lily, now 3, scattered flower petals with gleeful abandon as the flower girl. In a break with tradition, they hired a photographer but also set up a special camera with a remote trigger so that Mia could capture a few shots herself during the reception. When she took a picture of Marcus dancing with his mother, her engagement and wedding rings glinting in the golden hour light as she held the camera, his sister captured the moment on her phone. That photo of the photographer who had joined the family she was once hired to photograph became one of their favorites, framed and displayed prominently in the home they eventually bought together. A brownstone not unlike Mia's former apartment building, but with enough space for her photography studio on the ground floor and room for the family they both hoped to create. 2 years after their wedding, Mia placed a small wrapped package in Marcus's hands as he returned from a business trip. "What's this?" he asked, smiling curiously. "Open it and see," she replied, her eyes shining with excitement. Inside was a framed black and white photograph of tiny baby shoes positioned next to Mia's camera. Marcus looked up, his expression shifting from confusion to dawning realization. "Are you?" Mia nodded, tears of joy gathering in her eyes. "Due in 7 months. I thought it was time to add another subject to our family portraits." As Marcus gathered her in his arms, overwhelmed with emotion, he marveled at how a simple family photo shoot had led to this moment, a love that had transformed his life in ways he never could have imagined, and a family of his own that would continue to grow, each milestone captured perfectly by the woman he loved.